The drama surrounding Sophie Cunningham's injury and Bria Hartley's reaction has become one of the most talked about stories in the WNBA this season. It began with what looked like a routine possession in the second quarter of the Fever's game, but it quickly spiraled into a firestorm of controversy, outrage, and resilience that shook both the team and the league. The play started innocently enough. Bria Hartley pushed toward the basket, driving hard through traffic with the same aggressive energy she has always been known for. But in that moment, her momentum carried her straight into Sophie Cunningham's right leg. The collision looked awkward, almost clumsy, but the effect was immediate and devastating. Cunningham crumpled to the hardwood, her hands instinctively clutching her knee. She winced in pain, tried to rise, and then collapsed again. Trainers sprinted to her side as the crowd held its breath, and within moments, she was being helped off the court, leaning heavily on their shoulders. Moments later, the announcement came down. Sophie Cunningham was out for the remainder of the game. On its own, it could have been chalked up as an unfortunate accident. But what happened next transformed this into something much bigger. As Cunningham limped to the locker room, cameras caught Bria Hartley's face. And there it was. A grin. A smirk, even. A flash of satisfaction or amusement, depending on how you chose to interpret it. But once the image was broadcast, there was no stopping the storm that followed. To fans, to Sophie's family, and to countless voices across the basketball community, it looked like Hartley was smiling at her opponent's pain. The reaction was instant and furious. Fans took to social media in waves, calling the play dirty and demanding immediate accountability. Sophie Cunningham's sister Lindsay blasted the officiating in frustration, pointing out how often players get fined for speaking out rather than seeing dangerous plays corrected. Her mother, Paula, went further, accusing Hartley of being out of control. Though she later deleted her post, the sentiment was already out in the open. Fever fans echoed their anger, insisting this wasn't just another unlucky injury. Sophie had been targeted, they argued, and the officials had done nothing to protect her, and that's where the controversy deepened. The referees never even reviewed the play. No flagrant, no technical, no stoppage. The game rolled on as if nothing had happened, leaving Indiana Fever supporters feeling betrayed and enraged. Not only are we getting assaulted, one fan vented online, but they're smiling about it. When the replays were shown in slow motion, the unease only grew stronger. The angle of contact looked brutal, the pain etched across Cunningham's face was unmistakable, and the visual of Hartley's grin afterward was impossible to scrub from memory. It wasn't just bad optics, it was gasoline on an already smoldering fire. And here's the problem for Bria Hartley. This wasn't an isolated incident. Her reputation preceded her. Earlier this year, she was caught yanking Angel Reese's hair during a rebound, sparking a scuffle that had both benches heated.
She's had altercations with Rebecca Allen and Skylar Diggins. She's been ejected, accused of dragging opponents to the floor, and repeatedly labeled reckless. None of these moments alone defined her career, but strung together, they built
a pattern that's hard to ignore. So when the smile flashed across the broadcast as Sophie Cunningham was carried off, it wasn't interpreted as adrenaline or misread body language. It was confirmation in the eyes of many of everything they'd been saying about Hartley all along, that she's a dirty player who doesn't care if she leaves opponents injured. One commentator put it bluntly, "If it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, eats like a duck, it's a duck." Bria Hartley is the dirtiest player in the WNBA right now. She's winning the trophy for it. And fans believed it. Social media filled with clips of Hartley's past confrontations, all stitched together to paint a single damning picture. Analysts began calling for the league to step in, to suspend her, to finally draw a line after years of letting reckless plays go unchecked. The lack of accountability became the central theme. If players can smile after injuring opponents and walk away untouched, what does that say about how the WNBA protects its stars? For Indiana, though, this wasn't just about outrage. It was about survival. Cunningham's injury came at a brutal time. Caitlin Clark was already sidelined with a groin issue, while Sydney Colson and Arie McDonald had been ruled out for the year. Losing Cunningham wasn't just another blow, it was a dagger to a roster already paper-thin. Cunningham wasn't just a scorer or defender. She was a leader, a stabilizing presence who kept the team's competitive edge sharp. Without her, the Fever were staring at collapse. And that seemed inevitable when Connecticut Sun pushed their lead to 21 points in the third quarter. The Fever looked broken, beaten, and out of options. Their season seemed ready to unravel completely. But then something remarkable happened. Kelsey Mitchell caught fire. After scoring just 4 points in the first half, she erupted in the second, piling up 34 after the break and finishing with 38 overall, tying her career high. Her shooting was ruthless. 11 of 22 from the field, 5 of 8 from 3, 11 of 12 at the line. Every time Indiana needed a spark, Mitchell delivered. And in overtime, she scored the team's first 10 points, including back-to-back threes that stunned Connecticut and gave the Fever a pulse they hadn't had all night. She wasn't alone. Aaliyah Boston powered through the Suns' physical front court with a double. 14 points, 13 rebounds, plus 5 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. Her dominance on the glass gave Mitchell second chances to keep attacking. Odyssey Sims added 19 points and 7 assists, running the offense with poise when Indiana needed another creator. And Lexi Hull, who scored only once in overtime, made her shot count. Her corner three sealed the comeback, sending the Fever bench into a frenzy and deflating the stunned Sun. Against all odds, Indiana had pulled off the largest comeback in franchise history, from 21 down to a 99-93 overtime win. In the locker room afterward, the magnitude of what they had done sank in. Coach Stephanie White stood before her players, her voice thick with emotion, and told them this was about more than a comeback. It was about grit, about never being counted out, about proving that resilience wasn't just a word they threw around, it was who they were. Even from afar, Caitlin Clark felt it, sending a message online that read simply, "Battled. So proud." Sophie Cunningham, sidelined and uncertain about her own future, still celebrated her teammates' heroics with a tweet. Kelsey freaking Mitchell. And Sydney Colson, ever the humorist, reminded everyone not to take themselves too seriously, joking, "We down to 4 players, but we ball." The contrast was striking. On one side, outrage over Hartley's grin, accusations of dirty play, and demands for suspensions. On the other, a Fever team bonded through chaos, refusing to collapse when everything around them seemed to fall apart. Out of one of the ugliest moments of the season, they produced one of their greatest triumphs. But the questions remain. Cunningham's MRI looms large, and Indiana's playoff hopes hang in the balance. Bria Hartley's reputation has never been more contested, and calls for the WNBA to act are louder than ever. The league faces a decision: continue to let reckless play slide or finally draw a line to protect its stars. And so, we leave you with this. Should Bria Hartley face suspension for her role in Sophie Cunningham's injury? And beyond that, how should the WNBA protect its players better from moments like these? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Because in a season filled with drama, this is only the beginning.